Hello and welcome to Curiosity Chronicles, where we talk about all the things I find interesting and curious. So today we're going to talk about Canada. Oh, Canada. Whew. Yeah, y'all. I'm Canadian, by the way, in case my accent hasn't given it away. But yeah, we're in a whole situation here in Canada. Our government is basically on hold. And because the federal government, the Liberal government, will not provide documents that the House, the leader of the House, who is the god of the Parliament, has said, you must provide these. We're not moving forward with anything until you provide these documents. And they won't. And I think we've been on hold since October. No bills can get through, nothing's getting through, like nothing's even being put on the table. And of course, on one hand, people would say, well, it's good that the Liberal government can't put anything through because who knows what they might do. But then on the other hand, there's a lot of like private member bills that people just want stuff put on the table to get help for their constituents in their own ridings. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. And now we just kind of wait and wait. The Liberal Party got this GST thing put through. It's basically a 60-day break on GST, which is our tax. So our taxes are 13%, but not on everything. There's some things that aren't taxed, but it was really fascinating, the things that what the Liberal government, when they were trying to sell this and they were debating it, they're talking about things that already don't have tax. They did name some things that do have tax. I think somebody said, hey, I don't think you understand how tax works, rich people. I don't think you understand. But they initially sort of started talking about you won't pay tax on groceries. And the conservative government is like, we already don't pay tax on groceries. Fun fact. So things like that, where they were naming things that we already don't pay tax on. So what they've managed to do, and they did it in a really sneaky way because we don't kind of have a functioning government right now. And so they said, well, we could get this pushed through if we take it to committee. And then apparently the Liberal government just said, you know what, let's just form a committee right here, right now. Oh, we're a committee. And they managed to get this through. And when nothing else has been able to be done in the Parliament or anything. So yeah, it's kind of sneaky. And I think that what everybody needs to be aware of when you're all like, good job, Liberals, good job, way to get that done. Just remember that the next election, the Conservatives will be elected and they will have that same power to do whatever they want. They'll figure out a way. And believe me, like there's people in the Conservative government who are so insanely smart and clever, they'll figure out ways around everything. So doesn't matter what side of the political coin you're on, just be aware that whatever power you give one government, you've given it to every government going forward. And, so say, for example, the Emergency Act in 2022, in February of 2022, that power had not been used since the 70s. And it was our prime minister's father who used it to, the Emergency Act essentially is martial law. And it put our country in lockdown, like an entire country, over little pockets of things places. So there were a couple places in the country where things were going on that the government wanted to stopped. But the rest of us all got locked down too. So essentially we were under martial law until the federal government was content with what they achieved during those couple of weeks. And I can't remember how long it went for, a week, 2 weeks, I can't remember. So that precedent that was set also means that any government going forward can use those same powers. And it'll be a lot easier to use them because once precedent is set, it's not a tough decision anymore. You don't like what the people are doing, you just shut down the country and, lock their bank accounts. Like, I don't know that people who were in favor of what the Liberal government did during the trucker convoy and the protests in Ottawa, I don't think they'd be too thrilled to understand that the Conservative government has that same power when they're elected. And that if the Conservative government doesn't like what you're doing and saying about the government, they can lock your bank accounts. They can come for you. they can come for you. And so yeah, it's a tricky tightrope to walk. Certainly, I look forward to Canadian politics being boring again. I do watch the Parliament almost every afternoon, question period and things like that. I will be going to Ottawa in a few days to, well, I guess it depends on when you're watching this, but in December, middle of December, I am actually going to Ottawa. My MP has invited my son and myself up to visit him in Ottawa and have a tour. And we've got 2 tickets booked for myself and my son to watch the question period and all the yelling at each other. And it's interesting that Pierre Poilievre has a vote of non-confidence on the table, and we will be there the day after that vote. So I'm sure I'm going to do lots of videos and vlogging while we're in Ottawa for the day and getting, getting to see how this all works from the opposite end, like not from yelling at my laptop, but from actually being there to see it, where I have to remember, don't heckle from the balcony. I've got my son with me, so he'll elbow me if he thinks I'm about to start yelling at someone. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at in Canadian politics. Let me know what you think. Again, this is Curiosity Chronicles, the place where I talk about the things that I find curious and interesting. And I do find this political situation that we're in quite interesting. And I try to make it light and fluffy for people, because I know like politics can be really, really heavy for people understanding the nuances and the intricacies. So I find it's nice to have commentators and people who will kind of break it down, give you the Coles Notes version, and that will tell you how old I am. That I need Coles Notes. They don't even exist anymore. So I'm going to have a little sip of my Plexus. If you've never heard of Plexus, it's a company, like a health company, and they have these wicked awesome drinks that help keep your blood sugar stable. So I tend to have one on the go all day long. I'll put the link in. I'll see if I can find the link. I'll pop the link in. So yeah, there's definitely a lot going on in our Canadian politics right now. We have Bill C-75 blocking progress in the courts. The reason why people get released so quickly, that they can commit a really serious crime and then go before a judge that afternoon and be let out on bail, even though they may be a violent criminal, is Bill C-75. And that is what's basically taken a lot of the power away from judges. And this was a federal bill. This was a liberal bill that was brought in, and, the government ran with it. And it basically takes the power away from judges to lock people up. So that's the most basic, simple way of explaining it. And I do know I was at an event a couple weeks ago. Larry Brock happened to be there, and he was talking about Bill C-75. And he said that as soon as the Conservatives win the election, Bill C-75 is one of the first things to go. So that will put the power back into the hands of judges to actually deal with our criminal justice system and people who need to be locked up. Because if you know, in Canada, we have a lot of people that when they finally do commit the crime that is so horrific that they have to be locked up, we find out that this is their 5th time they've been arrested and charged and before a judge, and they're out on bail. They're just constantly out on bail. So this needs to come to a stop for everybody. I don't care what your political ilk is. If you think that criminals should be running the streets and killing people and robbing people and all of their violent crimes and all of the things that there's people out there doing, I don't know. I don't know what to say, but I would think that both people on both sides of the fence should probably want this bill gone, and have it be that that things should be left to the discretion of judges. If they feel that this person would be a danger to society, they should be able to say, no, you're going to stay in jail till your trial. They should be able to say, no, we're not letting you out on $500 bail. right? We need to, like, the American system is quite different. So we need to put the power back in the hands of the judges, regardless of whether I'm a liberal or a conservative or whatever my thoughts are on the whole thing, on all politics as a whole. This is one thing that needs to go. So anyway, we'll see what happens on Monday, December the 12th, which is the vote on the non-confidence motion that Pierre Poilievre is putting forward on behalf of the conservative government and the Conservative Party, I guess. He is the official leader of the opposition and next Prime Minister of Canada. I mean, I can't see it going any other way. This motion that is being put forward, it's basically telling the House that they don't have confidence in the government anymore and we need an election. This particular motion is all based on the words of the leader of the NDP party, who has said over and over and over that Justin Trudeau, our prime minister, is, it's a weak leader, weak government, blah, blah, blah. He constantly trashes this man, yet votes with him every single time because he wants to keep his job and keep his pension because he knows he won't get reelected. I think deep down in his soul, he knows he's not going to get reelected. And he keeps standing up saying, when I'm prime minister, and everyone laughs at him, and then he has to start over. So, yeah, the delusion is strong. So that's where we're at. I will be in Ottawa the day after this vote. So I expect it to be a very spicy afternoon in Parliament. And we'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you so much for visiting. If you have any thoughts on our Canadian political situation, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to click subscribe. And even if you don't have any thoughts on this, just leave a comment and let me know you pop by. That would be super cool. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day.